Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, okay? What'd you say? Trite, are you saying that Mr. Kudo saw was a setup? Yeah. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo. Give real, Trite. Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was more insistent about in his testimony was. The serving girl brought him a Javagino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. It's so hard to believe, but there was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning his coffee. Are you insinuating that the witness in the waitress in the old man's store was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but it's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening. That's right, well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct? Oh la la, this is most difficult for me. No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath after all. Was there in fact a phony at Tribune that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell us the whole truth about what happened. The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain in detail the events of the restaurant that day. Oh, oui. The victim, Monsignor Elg, came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after. There were no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, Mon Elg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. There was no time for a phony to do the acting. So just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all. Je vais vous demander pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly. What you've just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. Good job. I'll decide how to punish you later. Oh, oui, I like punishment. For now, we will hear your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. You took that perjury charge a bit too well. I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Was he alone at his table as well? Oui, I saw him from the kitchen. Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers it differently. She swears there was no other man at that victim's table. Huh. Unfortunately for you, Trite, yesterday's witness also testified the victim was alone. Yeah, his testimony was also full of holes and contradictions. So are we really just gonna start saying he's right so it doesn't matter? You know, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite. What kind of coffee has he been drinking? It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet. Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. Yeah, is that you? By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct? Oui, he comes here often for my special coffee. I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. I'm never drinking it again. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience. Oh, you make me so happy, Monsignor. You are most welcome anytime. I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. What time? Out of curiosity, what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived? Oh, no, I cannot remember, Monsignor. I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. The crime was reported at 2:25 by a kind of scary old man, sir. That perhaps jog your memory, witness? The incident happened about 20 minutes after you arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 2:10 p.m., no? Just after 2, huh? Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, Monsignor. You're wonderful. Can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? Time of day will be added to the witness's testimony. Oui, Monsignor Judge. Everything I do it for you. Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood. He's even humming a song to himself. No, I don't believe you. 1:30. Sorry. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning number of a $500,000 lottery ticket. Oui, that must be the show Monsignor Elg was listening to. I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright. I wonder. You can say the victim arrived at the restaurant after 2 p.m., correct? Oui, I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time because I had just finished serving the lunch menu. Get to the point, Wright, if you have one. That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. and it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life. It's only on air. It's on the air at 1:30. Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he'd won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. He's just really slow on the uptake. No! This victim you've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum. Catching a show that was already over. There's only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. The victim was an imposter acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murderer. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elg and Trey Bien that day. The real Glen Elg now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer, and the phony Glen Elg acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness. Certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy? Quite a performance, Trite. You were almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song. What is this? Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony Elg is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain then where the real Elg is? I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at that time, the real Glen Elg was already dead. That's certainly the obvious conclusion. Thank you, Troy. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now, I presume you can prove this theory of yours? Can you explain where the missing corpse went to? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. That customer was the phony Glen Elg. Where did the killer hide the body of the real victim? Obviously, probably in the kitchen or outside. Prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body? Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Trite. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Evidence. What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden? I thought I had a contradiction. Please turn it all around and back me into a corner instead. Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. Elg concealed? Inside. It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Trey Bien. Interesting. Where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you could care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed inside JVN is somewhere in here. The body was hidden here. I see. Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves this body was hidden in that location? This small green bottle. Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? No. I've never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, Monsignor. They are highest quality only for me. Where's the bottle found, Mr. Wright? Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Tribune. Great. But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication. What kind of medication? I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Elg visited an otolaryngological clinic and was given that medication that day. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The content of the bottle matched the prescription that was given to Mr. Elg. Glenn Elg's murderer hid the body in the restaurant, the kitchen. At which time, this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen? Mon Dieu. Mon Dieu? Yeah, so you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client Maggie Bird, however. You were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back. None. Order. There's an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Gwinnett? Never. I could never do such a horrible thing. No. Mr. Godot? Bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now? I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear? My H-deficient friend. Je vous demande pardon. Please, you must hear me out. It's a trap. Listen to me. Por favor. Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it? No. Absolutely none. Let's hear it. You've got one shot, right, Gramps? Witness, the court will permit your chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. And as does my gavel. It is clear. What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this. I've got a pretty good one. Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. It is true. I hid the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But I did not kill him. I swear it. You must believe me. You were forced by who? I cannot say, or I will be erased. Let's try a different question then. When Mr. Elg died, was he really the only person at his table? There was. There was another man. I knew it. Maggie was telling the truth. You may cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright. There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. You already know who it is. Did you carry the body by yourself? Wait, I carried him. I carried Maggie too. Maggie too. When she saw the victim collapse, she fainted. I coulda... But why did you hide the body? Fuck. What man? Who was he? No, and I cannot say. I fear for my life. He's really scared. You just had to put the words in his mouth, Nick. Yeah, you're right. If you won't tell me, I'll show him. Well, why would you go along with this man? Profiles. Mr. Tigre. Let's end the dance of Ring Around the Rosie, Mr. Armstrong. This is the man that you've been referring to, isn't it? Ah! What was that? I feel like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh, I don't know, maybe a month ago in this very courtroom. This man is Furio Tigre. He's the manager of a loan office called Tender Lender. There's no point trying to hide the truth anymore, Mr. Armstrong. I know you couldn't go against Mr. Tigre, at least not while he had this on you. A $500,000 loan. $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything. This man told you. Oh, it is as you say. Mr. Armstrong. That tiger, he told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting the victim. The demand said they repay his loan payment. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to. I had no choice. I carried the body and consent Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen. I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tigre. I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison and the lottery ticket were recovered from the defendant's apron pocket. Is that your doing as well? No, I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it I was not. It's despicable. Mr. Godot, you will summon this Furio Tigre as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. 30 minutes. What? The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more. Howdy. Don't sit back and relax yet, trite. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial will go on either way. Very well, your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We'll resume once Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand. Until then, the court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess. I have no idea how Godot's gonna drag that dude in here. So we're finally going to see the tiger on the stand. We've almost got this case won now, Nick. I wish I could agree. Huh? When I cross-examined Mr. Armstrong just now, he said he was just doing what the tiger told him to do. But Godot picked up on it, remember? He pointed out that without proof, we don't know if what he testified is the truth. You mean you think Mr. Armstrong was lying? I don't know, but if that's the line the prosecution takes, we could be in trouble. I get the feeling that we don't have the case-making evidence we're going to need. Hey, pal. Detective Gumshoe. What are you so jumpy about, Detective? Your hair's standing on end. Hey, that's the pot calling the kettle black, little Miss Top Knot. It's not a top knot. Never mind about the hair, just calm down, alright? I can't stand still when I don't have a job to do. I gotta get warmed up. No kidding. You gotta have something you need for me to do, pal. Anything. Well, hey, I'm gonna take a job back down to the precinct. I could get some prints analyzed for you if you got an hour. An hour? The trial will have reconvened by then. But Nick, we still don't have a really decisive piece of evidence yet, right? True, without some kind of trump card to pull out of the bag, we're really stuck. You said you could get some fingerprint analysis done in an hour. You bet. In that case, would you mind checking out the prints on this for me? A small bottle. If you're going back to the station anyway, could you find whose prints are on these? Oh, hey, that's the small bottle I gave back to you this morning, right? Yeah, I think it's time we solved the last mystery of who the prints on it belong to. Sure thing, pal. Actually, that's been gnawing at me too. I bet it will probably be Violetta. Small bottle given to Detective Gumshoe. Okay, I'll get this out to the lab right away. Just make sure you don't lose the case before I get back. Thanks. This is pretty much the final showdown, I guess. It's time to separate the phonies from the real guys. 1:56 p.m. Court will now reconvene. Mr. Godot, did you find this for your tigre? I have tamed him for you. It was a 3-cup job, no problem. Tamed him? The guy's name may be Furia Tiger, but come on. He's pretty lively. Be careful, he still bites. Very well, please show Mr. Tigre to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation for them. Ah! Don't hide under the table, Maya, unless there's room for me down there too. Would you mind? What you say to me? Nothing. I didn't say nothing, honest. You could have guessed that fear would induce a bad Brooklyn accent, Judge. I'm not doing a fucking Brooklyn accent. Fuck Brooklyn. I got a business to take care of, you hear me? So who the hell called me into this hole? Was it you, Spiky? No, of course not. It was the judge, who's not there anymore. Your Honor? Oh dear, I seem to have dropped my pen. Where on earth is it? Don't mind me, just carry on with the proceedings as normal. That's it, we're doomed. Maybe you didn't hear me. I said who the hell was it that called me in here? There's no need to shout. We can all hear you. Who did you say? What did you say? There's no point in struggling. You're caught in a snare, the relentless snare of the law. And I'm the one that hauled you in. Too cool. To let him get the better of you, Nick. Let's start with the basics. You know about the incident in question, correct? Incident? I don't know nothing about no stinking incident, Mask Boy. You mean you didn't attend the previous trial of Maggie Bird? Maggie who? I've got more important things to do than watch courtroom dramas. Of course. Well, perhaps you could give us your testimony then. Please tell us about what you did on the day of the murder. Phoenix, right. You said the one who set this up, didn't you? You're gonna regret that day. You ruffled the tiger's fur. You hear what I'm saying? Maybe I should have brought a diaper with me today. Get a grip, Nick. You're the one under the table. The tiger's alibi. He doesn't have no fucking alibi. I don't know nothing about no murder. I was tied up with a business in last December. Spent all of my time in my office. I got whales lined up to borrow cash from Tenda Linda every single day. You want to check my alibi? Just ask Violetta. I'd love to have her in here. At last, I found my pen. Jesus, it's a huge desk down there. Oh, Mr. Right, what is it, please, a witness, if you could refrain from shouting out like that? I know it did give me games, that guy in the blue place. Kinda games. That lowlife ain't no lawyer, he just punches away at stupid details till he wins. Lowlife me. Listen up, smarty, every time you ask me something that doesn't relate to this case, I'm gonna bill you $50,000, and you're gonna borrow the cash from me. That's one loan contract I refuse to sign. And don't think it ain't gonna hurt when you get tangled up with the tiger. I love a good spectator sport. Just a minute, that's really not. This witness is, how can I put it, a hungry tiger roaming the urban jungle. Be on his bad side and he'll bite everyone's head off. Yours too. Very well, I have no choice but to impose a penalty system here. He's better be listening. I said I got business to take care of. Big business. If I don't split now, I ain't gonna catch my bus. The record will, a penalty for any irresponsible pressing of the witness's testimony. Keep in mind that as you begin your cross-examination, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. You can do it, Nick. Come out from under there already. Would you, Maya? This is gonna be rough. I have no idea how I'm going to not press anything. What kind of business? Are you sure about that? We're talking about 1 month ago, you know? You see these teeth? That's how sharp my secretary is. Sharp. Is he talking about Viola Cadaverini? Sure, it's everything in my schedule. December, mainly in the office. That's what it says, so that's where I was. It seems like a rather sketchy schedule. Urgh. There he goes again. What the tiger did all December isn't the issue. What's important is what he was doing on the day of the murder. So, now what? Press harder because we have his calendar that says he met with the tiger on the day of the murder. Mr. Tiger, what do you want? If you wouldn't mind going into a little bit more detail. It's a dead end, Triton, you know it. Remember the rules. No, it's essential that we establish the witness's alibi accurately. I agree. The victim was killed on December 3rd. Were you in the office that day too? Maybe you ain't listening. Of course I was. I never set foot outside. I had meetings all day with a bunch of cats wanting to do business with me. I had never seen that kid before. I do believe the witness's last statement was important. Mr. Go, if you could please ask him to keep that on there. Mr. Tigre, the court asks you to add that last statement to your testimony. Don't let an animal beat you, be a man, Your Honor, and ask him yourself. Fuck that. You ask him yourself. I don't want a fucking penalty.